Johnny Depp has lost his libel case against the Sun for falsely calling him a wife beater. On this episode of the MGTOW Academy Show, we're covering the details that are known at the time of recording about the ongoing situation, why this case is significant, and why we should be paying attention to the events related to Johnny Depp's situation, as it should matter to you. All that and more coming up. Welcome to Season 3, Episode number 4 of the MGTOW Academy Show, your one-stop spot for MGTOW Talk. I'd like to thank you for joining me this fine day, evening, or whatever it is for you, and I hope you're well nonetheless. Let's start this episode off by getting some perspective about Johnny Depp and his now ex-wife, Amber Heard. They met in 2009 and married back in 2015. Amber then filed for divorce on May 23rd, 2016. So they married in 2015, and then Amber filed for divorce just about a year later. So take that for what you will. After that had happened and Amber filed for divorce, she obtained a temporary restraining order against Johnny, claiming that he verbally and physically abused her throughout their relationship. Now, initially, things didn't look so good for Mr. Depp, and that's no surprise considering that the current stereotype of relationship abuse portrays men to be the abusers, and that can be true. However, research is showing that abuse against men tends to happen more than we think. And look, I get it. It's difficult to accurately determine whether or not the stereotype is true, as there's different factors to, consider, reciprocal and non-reciprocal violence. And look, it's not okay no matter what. It doesn't matter who's doing it. But anyways, pushing that aside and going back to the stereotype I was just talking about, referencing a publication I found in the American Journal of Public Health. It's been found that in non-reciprocally violent relationships, women were the perpetrators in more than 70% of the cases. So that is an interesting statistic, and I've known about that. I just wanted to cite that. And by the way, that will be linked to you in the, available to you in the description for you to check out on your own. And as I said, that is something that I knew for a while now, and that is one of the first things that came to mind when I was mentioning that stereotype of relationship abuse. And that's just interesting, knowing how that will play to the public perception of these types of cases as they continue to come out as time passes on. So, look, referring back to that statistic I referenced, violence is violence no matter what. It's not okay. So it doesn't matter who's the perpetrator or who's the abuser. It's not okay. And I want to make that clear, partially because I just want to say that, and I truly do genuinely believe that, but also because I know that there's going to be some folks out there who are going to see the title of this podcast and go, well, you don't believe the victims, the typical stuff you'd see on Twitter. Yeah, because I'm on there, in case you didn't know. Follow me on there, folks. I appreciate the follow. But aside from that, yeah, you know those people I'm talking about. I also wanted to make that clear. So, if you are, unfortunately, in one of those situations, by the way, contact me via Twitter or email, and I'd be happy to help you out. It's not okay, no matter if you're a guy or a girl, to be in a situation like that. So if there's anything I can do to help you and make you feel better, just reach out, and I'm happy to talk to you. Now, anyways, getting back on track, new evidence that was released by Johnny Depp's legal team proved that Amber Heard's statements about Depp abusing her were indeed false. Now, should any of this information change, I will update you on that via Twitter. But as of right now, at the time of recording, those are the facts about Johnny Depp's situation. It looks like the current scenario isn't exactly over yet, but we can still pull out some takeaways from this occurrence and connect it back to going your own way. I asked my Twitter followers about what they thought about the ongoing situation, and here's what they had to say. First of all, shout out to his Twitter handle is the HR team with an underscore in the middle between the and team. But anyways, going forward, I asked my followers, what are your thoughts about Johnny Depp losing his libel case against the Sun? Right? I wanted to figure out what they had to say. So I was asking them, what are your thoughts about him losing the case against the Sun for falsely calling him a wife beater? And I'll include your thoughts in the next episode of the MGTOW Academy Show. You know the drill. And then HR Solutions replied with the so-called justice system is a money-making enterprise filled with corrupt CEOs, with quotations around CEOs. And I agree with that guy, 100%. Unfortunately, we do find situations more and more every day where it's uncovered that money finds itself to be a motive in places where it doesn't belong. And the legal system is one of them. So that is something that I am observing as I continue to get older and just view things differently. What about you? Share with me what you guys say about HR Solutions' thoughts about Johnny Depp's case in the courts. And once again, shout out to HR Solutions. I'll also link his Twitter handle in the description so you can go ahead and check him out. Appreciate your guys' opinion. Keep them coming in. Now, anyways, let's get back on to the story here. I'm not going to repeat what the news outlets have been saying, nor am I going to play the tapes of Amber Heard. Okay, those are already on the internet, and they aren't too difficult to find. And there's also copyright issues that may arise, but yeah, aside from that, it's not too difficult to find. Instead, I will share with you my takeaways from this and what this should mean to you. We need to understand, first and foremost, that he's famous. Johnny Depp is famous, not some average Joe, all right? I mean, if he had to put up, and he's still doing it, right? He still has to go on with this. So if he has to put up with all of this, being a well-known multi-millionaire actor, imagine what would happen to the average Joe if he would have to go through a, similar circumstance, hypothetically. The average person doesn't have a couple $1,000,000 in a legal team laying around to help him out. Forget about that. The average Joe doesn't even have thousands of people supporting him. The average Joe doesn't have Justice for Joe, hashtag Justice for Joe, trending on Twitter because, there was hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp trending, which I, of course, support now that there is a clear amount of evidence that would suggest his innocence and actually him being a victim. But going forward, that is a point. Okay, the average person will not have all of those resources to support them should they enter such a situation. And even with Johnny Depp facing these allegations and having all this support, he is still struggling quite a bit. It's quite evident. And that is the point of why I'm concerned about these sorts of things, right? And the thing is, it's not about, I know that we're going to also come up with people who are going to say things, well, these false allegations do not come up often, with sexual assault and domestic violence and yeah, okay, I'm aware of that. And I agree with you 100%. These, just because these cases don't, appear often, as of right now, that's what my current understanding of the matter is that these are not, common occurrences. That doesn't mean that we should, have it set so that it is guilty until proven innocent. Nor should that mean we should exist in a world where when someone, comes out and opens up to some form of abuse that they're facing, that we should be like, are you telling the truth or is there an ulterior motive? We don't want to be like that. If I had children, if I had a daughter or a son or whatever, and they had to unfortunately go through something like this, I would not want them to have someone, say that to them. Like, are you really telling the truth or are you faking? I don't want that for them. And I'm sure you don't either. So that is something I want to make clear, that it's not about how common or how uncommon this is. This is about the irreversible long-term damage this is going to have on someone's life, even if it is a multi-millionaire actor like Johnny Depp. And I don't want to say, okay, I'm not trying to say that his higher status is going to make it automatically easy for him. It's clearly not. What I am saying, though, is that it's to illustrate a point that someone, even if they're, in the position that he's in, they're still struggling with it considerably. And if someone like him is struggling with it, what about the average common person who would have to put up with such a situation? And that is the thing to think about. That's why I wanted to make this whole podcast in the first place, is because of just the absolute, just mindfuckery of this whole stance, this whole situation. It's just mind-boggling. I don't get it, And look, it doesn't seem like the developments with this case with Mr. Depp is an improvement from past cases of men being given the short end of the stick in the courts. Would you agree? Because I agree. I mean, I'm the one who said that, of course, but you get the point, right? And look, if it isn't improving, then what is it doing? Well, if it isn't improving, it's either staying the same or getting worse. Simple, right? Now, here's the thing. If it's the same, well, that doesn't change anything. Me and lots of other guys have already decided that the financial and legal risk of long-term cohabitation isn't worth it. Hence why we're here. Hence why I'm here, right? And if it's getting worse, then it's likely that more and more guys will follow in our footsteps. So either way, this current case going on with Johnny Depp is only adding to the pile of evidence that showcases what happens to guys when things go wrong. The key difference that distinguishes this case from others is that this one is receiving more publicity. Even with that, Johnny is struggling quite a bit. Now imagine dealing with this stuff but on your own. All you have left is a little bit of money and a lawyer, perhaps a supportive friend or two that might still believe you, and that's about it. And the false allegations that were made against you took everything else away. Now look, I realize that it's not likely that you would end up in such a situation, especially if you know how to scan for red flags and avoid long-term cohabitation with dangerous people. I don't want to pump fear into your minds, but I don't want you to be ignorant of the risk that you are susceptible to either. So how does this matter to you? Well, for starters, it shows what can happen when you mess with crazy. Yeah, right? Also, it highlights in the clear eyes of the press and public what can happen to a man. Johnny Depp has been dragged through a seemingly endless amount of bullshit in the recent years, and it allows for you to understand why some guys use the term divorce rape to describe the separations from their wives when the courts are involved. And if you thought that the reasons for going your own way were made up and fake before listening to this podcast, what do you think now? After seeing a world-renowned multi-millionaire actor who starred in films that brought in billions with a B, who has a huge fan base globally, now what? Is Johnny Depp an incel loser too, as some people will like to call us? Well, I will let you answer that. That's up to you, my friend. That's up to you. So that's the information we have as of right now, and that is the end of our episode. But please do not leave, because I'll be sad. I have some things I like to say before I end this podcast. So first and foremost, as always, the links to all of the referenced articles and publications will be made available to you in the description for your own exploration and analysis. Also, I want you to share your thoughts with me in the comments if this platform allows for it. I want to hear your thoughts. As you just saw, I like to include what you guys have to say. Even if you're not on the mic directly speaking, I still value your opinion and what you have to say. So if the comments are enabled on the platform, if it allows for it, drop it down below and I'll try to get back to you. I mean, you know, as long as it's on YouTube or something, I'll get back to it. That's the general rule, all right? There's other platforms out there that have comments, and like as a side note, I was just going through some random podcast platforms one night, and I found out there is another platform I'm on, right, that pulls from my hosting platform, and I had no idea they had comments, and I was like, oh, bad, oh shit, I feel bad. Because there's a couple comments on there, and I didn't respond to them. I had no idea they even existed, and I feel awful for that. So if I never got back to your comments on another platform, I sincerely apologize. It's because I'm not aware of it. But if I am aware of it, I will respond to it. Enough about the platforms. If the platform doesn't allow for that stuff, we'll get off that and go on to Twitter and email communication, right? So my Twitter handle is at all caps MGTOW followed by Academy. The first N Academy is capitalized and the rest is lowercase. And my email address is mgtowacademy.media@gmail.com. And I'll be happy to get back to you there as well. MGTOW Academy is, I'm doing it on my own. I'm one person, one guy doing this thing, and no money's flowing in. So, I mean, I don't get any ad revenue. So, if you want to support my work, that's MGTOW Academy, the MGTOW Academy Show, MGTOW Stories, and all the other stuff I'm doing behind the scenes. You can check me out on Patreon and PayPal to make donations or consistent monthly donations to help support the show. And I would definitely appreciate that. And that's all I got to say. So yeah, thank you for listening. As I highlighted in our episode today, the world is a very dangerous place out there. So I ask you once again to please exercise caution out there, as things can get really, really nasty. Well, that's all for now. I hope to talk to you in the not too distant future, guys. This is your good friend, MGTOW Academy, signing off.